We update all the latest roster battles as we project the opening day roster. Go Cubs.
You are Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. We are your team every day. I'm Matt Cozy. I'm a lifelong fan, taking my passion into a discussion with you on all things Cubs. This episode is brought to you by MLB The Show 26. Visit MLBtheshow.com/lockedon and use code LOCKEDON to unlock a pack for use in Diamond Dynasty. Pre-order now, available March 17th on PlayStation 5, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch, rated E for everyone. And with me today is one of my best friends in the whole wide world. He was a groomsman at my wedding. Please welcome Matt Politis. Matt?
Matt, really appreciate you having me on. Excited that we finally get an opportunity to do this. We'll see what kind of report card I get from Sam after the episode. So
yes, we will all wait for. Yeah, we will all wait for that grade to come in at some point on Tuesday. And I didn't tell anybody that besides my wife Kira that you were the guest co-host, so I could see several people being really surprised. Sam, my dad. I don't know if you told your mom yet, Matt.
Haven't had a chance.
Okay. Today's show, we're going to get in a little bit. We'll reminisce later. Matt is my first show partner ever. We did a Cubs show in middle school. As far as I know, we were the first Cubs podcast, even though we were putting the show on a CD. We also interviewed Juan Pierre, but interviewed is in quotes. So we'll get to all that later. There's a lot going on with the Cubs right now as we are only 23 days until opening day. As we are publishing here on Tuesday, March 3rd. And we're going to go through position group by position group to project who are the 26 going to be to open with the Cubs at Wrigley Field against the Nationals on the 26th of this month. First, Matt, your first impressions of spring training and just the overall roster after they really had a nice off season following their first playoff appearance in a while.
Yeah, I think I don't think are a whole lot of spots that are kind of up for grabs right now on the roster. I think things are fairly stable aside from a few spots. I think they made some key acquisitions obviously where they needed to, but look into the season with some of those targeted improvements that they did make.
And we're going to go position by position here on the show. This will take us most of the time, Matt. And I wanted to start with the outfield DH group. This is a group that's clearly well solidified with Happ, PCA, and Seiya. But then you have three newcomers after them, and we'll get to those. Ballesteros, Conforto, and Carlson is what I'm projecting. But what is your current feeling on, you have Happ and Seiya entering their possible final years as Cubs, and then Pete, the rising star?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely expecting and hoping for PCA to pick up where he left off last year and build on last year. Really exciting season, especially the first half. Obviously, a little bit of a kind of a tail off there towards the second half. But one of the most exciting players in baseball right now. Fan favorite. Sounds like he's really enjoying being a Cub. So I hope we see another great season from him, or at least he's able to extend some of that production throughout the entirety of the season instead of just the first few months.
Yeah, I hope so. And about a week ago, the Cubs signed Michael Conforto, who was a former minor league teammates with another one of my groomsmen, Matt knows, Kevin Kazmarski.
That's right. I didn't even think about that.
I saw Kaz the other day, and he was pretty jacked up that Conforto's now on the Cubs. I had Conforto in the last spot after he got signed, even before playing a spring game. And then last week, Matt, Tyler Austin got hurt. And so now there's really two open spots. And so before we break down the infield, let's stay with this outfield group, because I have now Conforto and Carlson making the team. Couple reasons for that. One, I just like the established veteran resume for Conforto. I think he has the leg up here regardless. And Dylan Carlson, so far in spring, the one-time hot prospect with the Cardinals, to play a little bit with the Rays, the Orioles. He is 7 for 13 with 5 walks this spring. I want to ask you about Ballesteros later too, but I guess your thoughts on this last spot, the Conforto signing and maybe the really the last roster battle, which seems to be in the outfield. What do you think?
So it's interesting. Before the show, I did kind of my own research and laid out what I thought my 26 would be that they would start the season with, and positionally we align exactly. Oh wow! I really like the Conforto signing. Actually, I tweeted or I don't even know what you call it anymore. The social media
posted.
I posted. I would say the social media, formerly known as Twitter. I sent a post to Sam and said, "Well, if they're signing Conforto, does that mean we could expect a Brian Roberts signing any day now?" And unfortunately, he didn't respond. Conforto seemed to be one of those guys that was always kind of loosely associated with the Cubs. And I do think, despite having a very down year last year, as well as the year before wasn't so great either, I could definitely see him returning to form this year and being a really good lefty bat for the Cubs. Likewise, as far as Dylan Carlson, he's had a couple down seasons, but if you look back to 2021, I looked this up, he had a WAR over 3. So we could see some kind of return to form there. A good switch hitting bat in the outfield. He could play all 3 spots. I think that could really give the Cubs a big boost, give them some good depth in the outfield. Likewise, as far as Conforto goes, and I did listen to your show with Joe the other day, where he mentioned the possibility that Conforto could maybe play first base on occasion. I think that's another really good idea between him and possibly Mo Baller spelling Bush at first a couple times. I really like the tandem of Conforto and Carlson rounding out the outfield there.
Well, yeah, that's well said, and I appreciate you showing up very, more than prepared, which isn't a surprise to me in the slightest, of course. And funny anecdote about tweeting at Sam, and he didn't respond. The Tyler Austin injury to me was unfortunate. But I think here out of the gate, they're going to be okay. The one thing I would say about Conforto possibly playing first is they should do that this week then, in a real game. I mean, there's, of course, all the work they could be doing off to the side, and I'm sure they are if they're trying to test drive it. But I wouldn't even wait around. I know there's more than 3 weeks to the year, and Bush is more than the first baseman every day. And hopefully will be for many, many years for this franchise. But yeah, try these things out. I wouldn't mess around too much, and we'll see if Ballesteros maybe gets a shot over there too. But Matt, I really think, especially if the Nationals start a right-hander, of course, but I think Mo Baller's the opening day DH. How about you?
I'm definitely with you there. Obviously, the sample size last year was fairly small, but I think there's a lot of promise there. I'm glad that he kind of got his whatever the issues were as far as actually getting the spring training sorted out. I saw that he was in the lineup again today. Had a really nice knock the opposite way to left field against the Reds, I believe it was. So really hoping for him to kind of lock down that DH spot, especially versus righties. Not quite sure what the options might be versus lefties. You can maybe see Shaw in that spot, but I definitely think Mo Baller is going to get the nod for the time being, and we'll see what he can do there.
We continue to project the opening day roster next. I am absolutely thrilled to be talking about our sponsor, MLB The Show 26. The greatest game in baseball is back with its newest installment. Baseball fans are going to have a hard time pulling themselves away from the game. How exciting is it going to be to play franchise mode as the Cubs? All the Cubs players, and you could be at the helm. You could be the manager of that team, and all these great in-game features from the Cubs, and really enhance your experience as a diehard fan. Whether you're a gamer, a baseball fan, or just want to enjoy America's favorite pastime in a new, exciting way, you're going to love MLB The Show 26. Play as your favorite team and franchise players and see if you have what it takes to win your own World Series. Visit MLBtheshow.com/locked on and use code locked on to unlock a pack for use in Diamond Dynasty. Internet connection required. You could pre-order right now. The game is available March 17th on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series S and X, and Nintendo Switch. Rated E for everyone. To check out MLB The Show 26. Today's episode is also brought to you by TurboTax. It's tax time, but for a lot of us, the old way of doing taxes is a lot. Trying to book an appointment that's not the most convenient, sitting in a waiting room with stacks of papers, emailing back and forth, and wondering if they really get your situation. But this year, you're getting a major upgrade. Intuit TurboTax now has in-person locations nationwide. You can meet face-to-face with a real tax expert, and your documents get uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot. And just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax expert works to get you every dollar you deserve, while you get real-time notifications as you go about your day. It's the relief of walking in and meeting a real person, and walking out knowing your taxes are being handled right. Head to turbotax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment today with TurboTax by heading to turbotax.com/local. Baseball is back, and you could lock in by joining the Everydayer Club, which gets you ad-free episodes. Go to lockedoncubs.supercast.com or tap the link in this episode description. We're projecting the opening day roster, and there is a lot of gold in the infield. Matt, Bregman, Swanson, Horner, Bush, and Shaw. Shaw still in the infield category, really just for convenience of the graphic I made to spread out the names. But it's pretty wild as we start with him and just more of the battle playing time stuff. Shaw was a literal finalist for the Gold Glove at third, and now he's going to play right field for most of the year, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting. Obviously the glove is there. It's been there. It's the biggest part of his game. The bat, I think, was always a kind of a question mark for me. Was not super high on him from the hitting side of things. Towards the second half of last year, he was one of the only guys on the team that was hot for a while. So that was huge for them. But it's not every day that you get to replace essentially Gold Glove third baseman with another Gold Glove third baseman, and the defense all the way around in the infield is obviously a big strong suit of this roster.
Yeah, it really is, and I'm excited to have Bush start against lefties. Speaking of that, I do think Shaw will get a good amount of opportunity either at DH or right field against lefties, as you mentioned earlier. I really hope they could line up Horner with Swanson and Bregman for the next few years. Horner's at the top of my list to get an extension, and most of that is urgency, I'll admit. I think Pete's a great candidate, yeah, but he's under team control through 2030. I just feel like when I think about and my best friend, Matt Politis, groomsman in my wedding, is joining me today. I even think about like us growing up, and you're still playing baseball, which is amazing. I just feel like Nico Horner is your player.
Yeah, he's definitely a dying breed. Kind of a high contact guy. Looks to put the ball in play. That kind of type of offense is really not something that's valued kind of as much in the modern day game. So I mean, there were just countless times last year where the Cubs needed, a solid single the other way, and he, shot one through the 4-3 hole. And so you're absolutely right. I mean, I would love to see the Cubs assign him to an extension. Not just the hitting, obviously, but the defense has been huge. And there definitely is more of a sense of urgency there with him reaching free agency sooner, and someone like PCA, a couple years away, still under team control. So that would be great. Obviously, there were all those kind of trade rumors that were playing out throughout the off season. I personally never really saw those as being too real. I think the Cubs would have been absolutely blown away. Then maybe they would have considered it. But I mean, he's kind of a cornerstone piece right now, and I got to think the Cubs are looking for a way to lock him up, for longer term.
And finally, to round out the position player group, 13 of them, is the catching duo of Carson Kelly and Miguel Amaya. Them, along with Reese McGuire, shout out to him, allowed the Cubs to have one of the best catching combos in all of baseball. I'm not really sure how else to put that. It was encouraging to see Miguel Amaya start to break out last year and then getting hurt not once but twice. Glad that he's back, that he's healthy. I think I will keep track of how he does in the WBC just to make sure he's doing well, he's staying healthy. The Cubs pitchers are in good hands with these two.
For sure. I think Carson Kelly was a very pleasant surprise last year. The bat was a big surprise. I think he does a phenomenal job handling the pitching staff. You're right. Amaya was kind of starting to break out there. Unfortunately, ran into some injury trouble. So fingers crossed he can stay healthy. Obviously, I think Reese McGuire did a solid job filling in last year. But this Cubs catching tandem is very strong. And hoping they can pick up kind of right where they left off last year.
I think the bullpen is going to be a longer convo, so I'll budget more time for that. So let me jump to the rotation, Matt, because I think that's been a place that has been where most of our real estate has landed, at least while we've had episodes during spring training. This rotation was basically the whole episode on Monday this week already. Right now, I'm projecting Boyd, Horton, Cabrera, Shota, and Tyone, who was awful again on Monday, and Sam solo Wednesday, and then we'll be together Thursday, Friday. I saved that for him, and also some Ian Happ stuff when Sam and I are together. But what is your impression of the rotation right now? Including Steele coming back in May or June.
Yeah, I mean that'll just be huge. I know you guys were kind of alluding to this in yesterday's show. Mm-hmm. It would be great if they can take their time with him. I think if the Cubs get off on the right foot, start the year off strong, that maybe eases some of the pressure on getting him back sooner, and then they can take their time, get him strong and healthy, and have him in place for the stretch run. But obviously, I think that's very contingent on. Can Imanaga return to maybe that 2024 type form? We've obviously heard that his velo is up this spring, which is great. But then there was kind of more of the home run ball issue the other day against the White Sox. So which Shota is going to show up at the beginning of the season? I guess we'll find out.
Which starter would you peg right now is for March 26th against the Nats? If you had your own pick, who would you select?
I think you got to go with Matt Boyd. I think he's earned that. After the year he had last year, hopefully he can pick up right where he left off. Obviously, the acquisition of Cabrera was huge, and Horton. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see him in the playoffs with some of those injury issues, but he finished the year extremely strong. I think really got snubbed as far as the rookie of the year goes. So there's a lot of promise at the top end of that rotation. And then beyond that, I think you got a lot of guys that could offer some depth there if things don't go well for Imanaga or even potentially Tyone. You have Javier Assad waiting in the wings. Probably a start here or there from Colin Ray. Ben Brown, who's someone, and I definitely agree with what Sam was saying. I think he needs to prove himself. If I saw more than a couple strong starts in Iowa, maybe I'd feel good about bringing him back. I know he's added another pitch to his arsenal this spring. I think it's a sinker. So we'll see. I feel really good about where the Cubs rotation is at. I think they can hold things down until Steele comes back, and that'll be great.
We move to the last group, the bullpen, and also do some reminiscing next. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. College basketball is nonstop, big games, tight spreads, momentum swings every single night, from early tip-offs to late-night West Coast shootouts. There's always action on the board, and now FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into even bigger potential wins with the college basketball parlay profit boost. You can build any college hoops parlay you want, rivalry games, ranked matchups, whatever fits your plate. And you can mix spreads, totals, and player props to match how you see the slate playing out. Then you can apply the profit boost and instantly bump up the potential payout. Go safe, go bold, ride with the team you've been following all season. It's your parlay, your style, now with more upside behind it. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel.com. FanDuel, play your game. Today's episode is also brought to you by Gametime. MLB opening day is almost here. You can feel it. Fresh starts, big expectations, and that first crack of the bat. Whether it's a breakout rookie or a division race that goes down to the wire, there's nothing like being in the ballpark again. The only problem, getting tickets can feel like a grind. Long waiting queues, surprise fees, prices jumping at checkout. That's where Gametime comes in. The Gametime app gives fans the advantage with constant innovation. It's how you unlock amazing tickets and experiences in just a few taps. The seat views feature is huge. You can follow your favorite team and get alerts when new deals drop. Are you looking to go to Wrigley Field one of the first 6 games of the year? You should be. 2 taps and it's done. No stress, no hidden fees, just great seats and minutes. That's what makes it so easy to decide last minute to go to a game. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off, and download the Gametime app today. Welcome back to Locked On Cubs, the #1 podcast on the Chicago Cubs. We give you everything a Cubs fan can want, all in a 30-minute daily podcast. Opening day roster projection right here. Colin Ray right now I've projected in the bullpen. We'll see about Javier Assad and Ben Brown, Matt, as you mentioned last segment. And then if you include Ray, there's 7 locks. Palencia, Maton, Milner, Thielbar, Harvey, Webb, and Ray. That's for a combination of resume, experience, and really a lot of these guys they signed just this offseason. So that leaves 1 open spot. I believe a projection we did about a month ago, I had Porter Hodge. He's been terrible in spring. I think his roster spot is not only in jeopardy, but his 40-man spot is too, because they need to add Conforto and Carlson and whoever else. Mm-hmm. Right now, I have Gavin Hollowell in the last spot. I will read you his info here. 3 innings, 2 hits, 1 run, no walks. 8 of the 9 outs he's recorded so far in spring have been strikeouts. Feelings on the bullpen and potentially the last spot.
Yeah, this is really the only spot where we deferred as far as our 26-man goes. And I guess the other thing I'll add.
You mean?
Defer. Defer.
Yeah.
Looking across the entire Cubs roster, I think there's kind of a tactical element and a strategic element. And what I mean by that is I think there's a number of folks you'd love to have on the roster, but they have options available where others don't. So I think there were a couple cases of that, especially for me, kind of on the offensive side of things. As far as that last bullpen spot goes, I actually chose Assad over Hollowell. I don't know Hollowell's kind of background too much. I think Assad actually might have some options left, so maybe it makes more sense for him to start the year in AAA and as a starter and get those innings under his belt before potentially coming back up and sliding into the rotation as needed. So it's kind of just what direction do the Cubs want to go? Do they want to start the year with maybe a six-man type rotation and maybe Assad is that six-man, maybe Ray is that six-man?
Sure.
Or are they okay kind of giving that spot up, someone like Hollowell, keeping Assad down in AAA so he can start along with Brown?
Well, and I've been open to Brown and short relief too, but I think him starting the year in Des Moines as a starter does make sense for the health of the organization. I have two more names. One is on the 40-man. One's a non-roster guy. Jack Neely, 5 strikeouts and 2 innings so far. Colin Snyder, zeros across with 4 strikeouts and 2 innings as well. The former Mariner, he's an NRI guy, and they'd have to add him to the 40-man. But we'll see what happens with that. All right, we feel good about the roster. Makes sense. This team's projected in many places for 88+ wins, as we inch closer to the year, it gets more and more real with the day, each passing day. I seem to remember. I have good opening day memories. I seem to remember maybe one that we watched together, but usually the school's in session. Do you have, not necessarily with me, do you have a opening day memory just in general at all of all your years as a Cubs fan?
I guess not specifically. I mean, I can say 2016, which, by the way, I told this to people constantly about the Bears this past season. The Bears this past season kind of felt like the 2015 Cubs. They took a big leap forward, despite the fact that the season ended, early-ish in the playoffs. You left the season kind of feeling good and feel like they're going to build on it for next year. I just remember feeling in 2016 opening day, after the Cubs obviously lost to the Mets, it's like, all right, they're going to, we're expecting big things this year. So I remember when they started the year, actually in California against the Angels, where we're now. Obviously, a couple games into the season when Schwarber had that unfortunate collision in Arizona. But I guess just that season kind of sticks out in my mind, obviously for more reasons than one. Just feeling really excited about the team right at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, it was really pull to pull. They were the best team, and they crushed them that night. And I want to say they crushed the Mets maybe on an opening day, or the Pirates, or maybe they both in our childhoods. I kind of want something like that this year, but more importantly, I would like to just for them to take advantage of the first 6 games against 2 clearly inferior opponents. As middle schoolers, we did a show on the Cubs and all the baseball, aptly called the Matt and Matt Show. We did a bunch of shows. We put them on CDs. Basically, just our moms and dads listened. Although I did play our Juan Pierre interview for most of my family on Christmas one year. And then I think we did one show in high school. Then the first podcast I ever had 6 years ago, you were on. We kind of reminisced there as well. What do you remember about the Matt and Matt Show? Because we were ahead of our time.
I think I don't know if this will be on the podcasting Wikipedia page, but I think we invented podcasting. I'm not aware of anyone doing this kind of thing before we did. So I don't know. I just remember, I have fond memories of that time. Two very big Cub fans like ourselves, just coming up with a way to, express our fandom. And the Juan Pierre interview in particular was very, very fun to do. It took some very technically advanced techniques for the time. I mean, this is like Windows XP before all these fancy recording applications. We had to do some interesting things to make all that happen, which is pretty funny. And I looked for the mic that we used to use, and I couldn't find it. I think it's at my parents' house. I wanted to hold it up right now and show you, but I don't have it with me.
Well, I could visualize it right now. It's like a stick mic, right?
It was like a little stick. Yep.
It was narrow and it got the job done. And yeah, the Juan Pierre interview must have been on Cubs.com or something. And we were able to, with the theater of the mind, able to frame our questions and then feed his answers to the local media. I decided for time's sake, I don't have that audio. I do have this short clip.
Hello and welcome back to another edition of the Matt and Matt Show. I'm Matthew Politis here with my partner Matt Cozy, and it's been a long time, Matt, since we've last done a show. What do you have to say?
Well, yeah, it has been. That's why we're reuniting right now. So, Matt, thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a lot of fun and really enjoyed it, and hope we can do it again sometime soon.
Thanks for tuning in today to Locked On Cubs. Make sure to stay with us all through spring trading leading up to opening day, and make sure you subscribe and follow Locked On Cubs so you get all the latest episodes. For those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. And on audio, make sure your second listen is Locked On Fantasy Baseball as you get your fantasy rosters ready for the seasons. For Matt Politis, I'm Matt Cozy. This is Locked On Cubs.